Welcome to Sports Spectrum, the sports and faith podcast that brings Jesus back into the conversation. Here's your host, Jason Romano.
This episode of the Sports Spectrum podcast with Casey Sadler, pro baseball player, is brought to you by Compassion International. It's $38 a month, and it's a chance for you and I to release a child from poverty. What more could we ask than an opportunity to make that difference in a child's life, starving for hope, starving in many ways for food? That's where your $38 goes. Food, education, medical care, vocational training. It's all done in Jesus' name, and it's a chance for you to get involved with the great work being done at Compassion International. Here's the website, compassion.com/sports spectrum. Compassion.com/sports spectrum. Go to the website, check it out, pray about it, and consider releasing a child from poverty today. Today on the podcast, we welcome pro baseball pitcher Casey Sadler. This is a crazy story of an up and down life as a professional baseball player, and that is the journey that is Casey Sadler. He was selected in the 25th round of the 2010 MLB Draft by the Pittsburgh Pirates. He went to college at Western Oklahoma State University, and then made his major league debut May 2nd, 2014 with Pittsburgh. He was also a 2014 International League AAA All-Star, and after missing the 2016 season with Tommy John surgery, was able to return, and in 2017, he pitched in the minor leagues with AA and AAA affiliates for the Pirates. In 2018, pitched in AAA, and then returned to the major leagues for 2 games with the Pirates. In the beginning of 2019, he started the year with the Tampa Bay Rays organization and pitched in AAA and pitched in the majors. When you hear the beginning of this interview, you'll see the crazy up and down journey just in 2019 in the first 2 or 3 months of the season. That was Casey Sadler's life this year. It's kind of crazy. Up and down, literally one day pitching in the majors and the next day being demoted down to the minors and pitching in AAA in Durham, and then back to the majors and then back down to the minors. It's a yo-yo type of life that Casey Sadler was living. I tell you all of that because we taped this interview in late June of 2019. Well, just a couple days after we taped this interview, Casey got the call back up to Tampa to pitch with the Rays. And he threw a pretty good game. He threw 3 innings in relief and allowed just 1 run. And on the season, Casey with Tampa in the majors has a 1.86 ERA in just 9 games. If you know anything about baseball, anything under 2, an ERA under 2 is really, really, really good. And so Casey's having a lot of success this year in the major leagues in 19 innings, pitching in 9 games, 1.86 ERA. And then suddenly, the next day after he's called up to Tampa, he's designated for assignment by the Rays. And that happens a lot in the majors. These players that are kind of on the bubble and they're major leaguers and they're up there for a little while, and then somebody comes back from an injury, or you have another player that you want to have seen on the major league level from the minors, and they have to make decisions. And unfortunately, Casey was part of that decision making and was designated for assignment by the Rays Saturday, June 29th. And then just a couple days later, and a couple days after, again, this podcast was taped, Casey was traded from the Rays to the Los Angeles Dodgers. And I'm telling you this because we didn't discuss this in the podcast because we had just taped this a few days earlier. But we give you a good glimpse into the life of what a minor league / major league baseball pitcher is like. And the irony of all of this was that Casey was optioned to AAA Oklahoma City, which is the affiliate right below the major league level for the Los Angeles Dodgers, which happen to be the best team in baseball right now. And that's where Casey grew up, in Stillwater, Oklahoma, and going to college at Western Oklahoma State, and now pitching in Oklahoma for the Dodgers organization. What a crazy journey it's been for Casey Sadler. And I think you'll enjoy hearing his story and understanding the just absurdity in many ways that is the professional baseball pitcher trying to go and make it into the major leagues, but just, having that option of going up and down from the minors. Take a listen to Casey Sadler here on Sports Spectrum's podcast. Casey, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's good to have you on. And I'm just going to read. I wrote this down for our intro. We're taping this. I want people to understand because we may run this in a couple of weeks, and you may have already been back up to the majors. But you're currently in Durham with the Bulls, which is a AAA affiliate of the Tampa Bay Rays. We're taping this June 26th. Here's the sort of up and down of 2019 for you. I'll just read it, and then I want you just to kind of tell us what that was like. You pitched in 11 games with the Durham Bulls in North Carolina, 8 games with the Tampa Rays in the majors. April 19th, the Rays select the contract of Casey Sadler. April 20th, the Rays option Casey Sadler. May 2nd, the Rays recalled Casey Sadler. May 5th, the Rays option Casey Sadler. May 6th, the Rays recalled Casey Sadler. May 8th, the Rays option Casey Sadler. May 10th, the Rays recalled Casey Sadler. May 26th, the Rays optioned Casey Sadler. June 7th, the Rays recalled Casey Sadler. June 8th, next day, the Rays optioned Casey Sadler back to Durham, where you are now. I'm tired just saying that. I can't imagine what that was like for you, kind of going through all that up and down. That's part of the major league and professional baseball life that exists. What has this year been like for you?
I guess a whirlwind is kind of the best, description. I couldn't help but just kind of smile and laugh, listening to you going through that. I knew we had been up and down, I believe 5 times over the last, few months, and you just kind of get accustomed to it, but actually like hearing it and kind of trying to keep up and keep along, it's like, dang, like it's kind of crazy. But no, it's been hard. It's been fun. Been grateful for the opportunities that have been given, and
of course,
and for us, getting to play in Tampa, close to home, things like that. It makes going up a lot easier, but it also makes coming down a little harder because you're actually leaving home. So, but it's been good. Had a lot of fun. Pitched well. Been able to pitch in some pretty big games. So, it's been fun.
You purchased an RV last year, and I was fascinated to hear about that. And I wonder how the RV kind of came into play during these up and down moments. I guess they call them yo-yo players in a lot of ways, where you're, like a yo-yo, you're going up, you're going down. Have you been able to just get in the RV and drive to wherever the game is, especially when you were going to Tampa from Durham?
So it's kind of a crazy story. When we originally got called up, we were in Norfolk, and yes, in the past we have taken it places close, just kind of give you a sense of home. You don't have to pack in and out of hotels, things like that. But when we initially got the call, we were under the impression that we were out of options this year. So we chose to drive from Norfolk all the way through the night, about 15 and a half hours, and got into Tampa on that, I believe, what was it, like the 19th? And, right before game time, ended up parking the RV in the parking lot there at Tropicana, pitched that night, and then was informed we were headed back. So that was quite the whirlwind. Got a little bit of press for that because it's kind of a crazy ordeal. But, so now we just park it, and we're in and out of hotels, and just try to make life as easy as we can, through this whole process.
I hope the wife was willing to put some of those miles on the RV and not just have you driving the whole time.
Dude, she's a trooper. She drove the majority of it. I drove a little bit right at the beginning because I was just kind of amped up and awake anyway. And then she took over, and I slept, and our 2-year-old slept in the back seat in her car seat, and we just powered through, and thankfully made it through some pretty intense weather. Missed a tornado by a few miles, and got to Tampa. So she's amazing. Today is actually her birthday, so shout out to my wife, happy birthday. But without her, I don't know, man. I don't know how I would be able to do this. She takes a lot of the burden and responsibility to allow me to pursue my dreams, and she really took that one for the team.
We just had Pat DeMarco on the podcast a couple days ago, and he's a fullback with the Atlanta Falcons. And I talked to him about the sort of the heroes of the athletes that we get to talk to in many ways are the wives or the spouses, I should say. But definitely when it's the guys, it's the wives who do so much of the work that you can't see, that never gets seen, because all we see is Casey Sadler going out and pitching 1, 2, 3 innings, whatever it is. And we don't realize the wife is either in the stands or taking care of the kid or back home or feeding or tending to everything that needs to get tended to. They truly are the heroes, aren't they?
Yeah, 100%. And they definitely don't get the credit that they deserve. And I'm sure every husband or father or, even boyfriend, fiance, whatever, could attest to just the amount of sacrifice that they have to endure over the season. They really do take a lot of the stress off of us as athletes to allow us to just go to the field and take care of business and do what we need to do. And, it's just a side of the game and a side of sports that people don't really get to see. And so I think, props to them and without them, I don't think a lot of us would be able to do what we do.
Casey Sadler is our guest here on Sports Spectrum's podcast. You were selected in the 25th round of the 2010 MLB Draft by the Pirates. At that point, you're just about 20 years old, went to Western Oklahoma State University. I don't know. I assume it's in Oklahoma, but that's all I know about Western Oklahoma State. 25th round. That's already having the deck stacked against you, if you will, of trying to make it into the major leagues. And 4 years later, you made your Major League Baseball debut. So take us through that time of just trying to grind through the minor league system, coming right out of college, being drafted, and having those odds stacked against you.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting story. Western Oklahoma State College is a little junior college in Southwest Oklahoma. Pretty much the only thing to do there is play baseball and rodeo. And so it was neat. Got to play with a lot of really good players. Played with Andrelton Simmons. He was our shortstop, and he's now shortstop for the Angels. And
Sure.
And so there was always scouts there watching him, watching a lot of the other guys. And so, just getting an opportunity to play in front of them, I think led to the opportunity in professional baseball. And I think a grind is the best way to put it. I knew that I had to overcome some odds, had to maybe work harder than the guy next to me, had to, try to maximize my time. And I'm very grateful and thankful with what opportunities I got with Pittsburgh and the fact that they believed in me and saw something in me that maybe I didn't see in myself and at the very beginning. And so, it was really fun. Got to work with a lot of really good coaches, played with a lot of really good men, and ultimately led me here to what I'm able to do now and still continue to play. So very thankful for that.
You were in the 25th round selected. Do you remember that time getting the call? And honestly, did you even think, I shouldn't say did you think, but what were your thoughts on getting drafted? Were you not sure? Did you expect to be drafted that day? What do you remember about that?
It was kind of an interesting day. I had talked to the scout with the Pirates quite a bit over the few days before and kind of had an idea of what the plan was. He was fairly certain that I was going to be taken. We thought maybe a little higher than what, we were ultimately taken at, but, that's kind of the way it felt. And, but yeah, it was kind of your typical June day in Oklahoma, about 1,000 degrees outside. And just so happens that we're at my family's house and something happens with our AC. So we have no AC. We're sitting in our house waiting on, someone to come out and fix the AC. And it's hot. And, the time that we had spoke about kind of comes and goes. And then you're just like, okay, well, is it going to happen? Or, am I end up going to go play at Oklahoma State where I had signed out of junior college? And then we actually get a call from the Cubs. the Cubs say, hey, we're going to select you in the 25th round. And I had developed this relationship with the scout from Pittsburgh. I still talk to him every once in a while. And he was like, if you hear anything, call me. So as soon as I got a phone, I called him. I was like, hey, just want to let you know, the Cubs said that they're taking me this round. It's going to be up to you guys. And he's like, okay, I'll get back with you. Didn't hear back from him. Just kind of waiting. I was like, okay, well, it's either going to be Pittsburgh or the Cubs. And sure enough, Pittsburgh makes the selection. And at that point, the journey began in State College, Pennsylvania. And just kind of a crazy ride from there.
Do you have a crazy early minor league story that you can share? Maybe just what the situation was, the circumstances of your living at that time. I know I've talked to some guys who lived with like 8 different players just to make ends meet and on peanut butter and jelly sandwiches when they were in A-ball, just what that was like. You're laughing. So do you got a story of what that was like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, the minor leagues is the side of baseball that nobody really sees unless you're a true, fan and get out there and go to these games. But the Pittsburgh actually had it set up pretty good. When we were in short season, they had connections with families in the area, so we all had host families. And so I got connected with one, this older couple in State College, and they were just amazing. They were sweet, genuine, Christian folk, and so that was my first living arrangement. And then after that, you kind of, once you hit low A, high A, in those places, they don't provide that anymore. So you're in about the cheapest apartment complex you can find with either one roommate or multiple roommates. And at that point, people are moving around all over the place. So you might start the year with one roommate and end the year with having 3 or 4 different ones. So you just kind of do what you got to do to make ends meet and save as much money as you can.
Easier said than done, right?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. But hey, it's all worth it, the sacrifice and stuff that these guys and all of us put, just sports in general, the sacrifice that you make to live out a dream and pursue a goal and a dream that, it's all worth it. So.
Casey Sadler has been our guest here on Sports Spectrum. We haven't talked faith much yet. Obviously, if you're on this podcast and faith is important to you. So share with us a little bit of your faith journey and come to the point in the moment where you were able to really make that faith real and accept Christ for who he is. Can you share that?
Yeah, for sure. Grew up in the church pretty much my whole life. Mom and dad were very involved. Ended up being youth pastors for a little while at the church that I grew up in. And so I was always around it, had a good knowledge of, what Christianity was and how faith plays a huge part and ended up was saved and baptized around the age of 12. But then just kind of went off and, did my own thing. I think, until you get to a point where you kind of realize what it actually means to be a Christian, what it means to follow Christ and things like that. It's just, it is what you make it. Then ended up getting married back in 2011. And my wife and I, we say it's kind of like our honeymoon, but we just enjoyed it. But went to PAO. Francis Chan was talking and both of us, one evening they do baptisms and, rededications and all that kind of stuff. And my wife and I went back up to the hotel room and we were just like, I feel like, this is time to like take the next step, take, this step together as a married couple and, both individually. And so, we got in the water together, rededicated ourselves and our marriage to the Lord and, was able to kind of take that next step together. And then after that, it was just, doing our best to grow every day. We go through, little spurts of when we're really good. And then we go through little spurts of when it's a struggle, to keep the faith and stay in the word and stuff like that. Cause you get so ingrained into your routines and, just making time or, for whatever reason. But Yeah, it's just a constant grind. It's kind of like sports. You have to make time. You have to make the effort. You have to put in the work. You have to, take time to really kind of connect and stay in. And so, yeah.
What's that look like now? The minor league grind that we talked about, and even going up to the major leagues for, a day, 2 weeks, whatever. How does that journey daily look like for you with your faith and staying connected to the Lord?
It's hard, because you start to question, you start to ask, what is going on? Why is this happening? Why am I getting this opportunity and not this opportunity, or whatever other questions that, we conjure up in our worldly selves. And my wife is a huge testament to, prayer. She prays a lot. She prays for us. She prays for, other people for things that, we don't understand. And so, that definitely helps, because she helps kind of keep me on track too. But, yeah, I think it's letting go of the control, letting go of the things that we maybe can't see, and just trusting that, ultimately the Lord, has a plan for our lives, and a plan for where we're supposed to be and when we're supposed to be there and how long we're supposed to be there. And, so really kind of just praying for that piece of, okay, you have us where you want us to use us in this location. Let us, use our time here to maximize, the kingdom and glorify you through baseball and through how we handle things, and, the whole situation of going up and down. And, it's very easy to get bitter. It's very easy to get, like, woe is me, but just using that as an inspiration to others, just staying consistent and staying focused, and understanding that, there is a plan, and the Lord's will is what we pray for all the time. Obviously we want to be there, but we also want to be where he wants us.
Casey, let me ask you about going back on the field, your Major League Baseball debut. It was May 2nd, 2014 in Pittsburgh. I don't know if it was in Pittsburgh or if it was with Pittsburgh. I know it was with the Pirates.
Yeah, it was in Pittsburgh.
Take us back to that day, your Major League Baseball debut, May 2nd, 2014 in Pittsburgh.
It's kind of an emotional day, obviously. It was very, very cool. I had spent some time with the team a few days before, so I had time to kind of get situated, just enjoy being there and enjoy, being around the guys. And so, it was a little easier than just getting called up and thrown in the fire that same day. It's something that you work for and strive for and dream of. And so to be able to debut in your home city, in front of your home crowd, it was very special. It's hard to kind of put into words the emotions and the feelings and things that are associated with it. But, it is definitely a very emotional time, just because you put in so much time and effort and sacrifice, and then to finally actually get to live that out is pretty special.
Tommy John surgery is something you hear a lot for pitchers, and it's the unfortunate part of, I guess, the side of Major League Baseball and professional baseball with pitchers. A lot of people getting Tommy John, and you had to go through that and missed the 2016 season. Can you share with us kind of what led up to the moment when you realized you had to have Tommy John, and maybe some of the emotions you were feeling, both from just a physical nature and knowing that you were going to miss the season, but even from a spiritual nature?
Yeah, that was hard. At that point in my career, 2015, I was kind of that next man up. Kind of that sixth man out of the rotation. And so going into that year, I was super excited because I felt like I was going to get, a lot of an opportunity to, make an impact, and was able to do that. Actually, my first start of the year, I believe April 12th, in Milwaukee. And so started the year off pretty good. And, just as the year went on, started getting some soreness. And then the soreness turned into pain, and tried to pitch through the pain. And then it just finally got to a point where, my numbers weren't very good. I wasn't able to perform. And, it became such an issue that we had to get some things figured out. And, it was a big blow, going into that year. Like I said, that was supposed to be the year that, I kind of turned the corner and started making big strides towards, hopefully what would be a long career. And to have that derailed, so to speak, it was tough. It was really hard to handle, especially when you're back home rehabbing and you're seeing all your buddies and stuff continue playing. And it was hard. But at the same time, I think, it was a blessing in disguise because there just was no way to continue to pitch with the amount of pain that I was in and the damage that was in there. So going through and getting a fresh elbow and really kind of getting to reset and start again is I believe was a blessing. Have no issues as of right now. My arm feels great. It's actually never felt better. So it went well. I think that process can be strained on anyone. You just want to be out there and compete. And when you can't do that and it's not really anything that you did or didn't do out of your control, it can be hard.
How did it feel to kind of come back all the way back beyond that diamond and be able to pitch again and certainly get back to the major leagues?
It was great. At that point, you kind of think is my time over? Am I ever going to get to pitch at that level again? And so to be able to do that and come back with Pittsburgh kind of brought everything full circle. And it was great. I felt like that time off was worth it. That time off was used well, and working with the rehab guys and all that stuff to come back strong and be able to do that was amazing. It really kind of solidified that, the Lord really does have a plan for us in this game, wherever that be. And as long as we continue to seek him and do the things that we're called to do, then, everything's going to work out one way or the other.
How did you handle that doubt? Because you said there was moments when you weren't even sure you were going to be able to pitch again or ever make it back to the majors. So I know I'm kind of going backwards, which you're not supposed to do in interviews, but that's all right. I think the best thing to do is to kind of go back here and think about sort of those times when you had doubt, those times when you were maybe wrestling with God and trying to figure out, okay, where do you want me to go here? What is the journey? What is the direction you have me going in here? Take us a little bit deeper there, Casey, and explain kind of the emotions that you were dealing with and trying to work through that.
Yeah, definitely. I think any athlete can attest to this, but your sport or your ability is a significant part of your life. And so for me at the beginning, it was like, what am I going to do? This is what I do. This is who I am. This is, I play baseball. I'm a baseball player. This is my job. This is, such a big part of me. And really until I, had some long conversations with my wife, really kind of everything kind of came into picture of like, baseball is what I do. It is not who I am as a person. It is not who I am, as a husband and a father. And, at that point, not a father, but, it's really just your job. It is not who you are as a person. And so once I finally understood that and that kind of came into play, it really allowed me to move on from that. Well, if I don't ever get to do this again, that's not the end of the world. It's just a chapter in my life that I got to experience. And now we go and we do what the Lord has next for us. And so really kind of taking hold and digging and finding who you are as a person and clinging on to your faith and things like that is really kind of what helped come out of that period where you're really kind of questioning what's going on.
Casey Sadler has been our guest here on Sports Spectrum. Last question, Casey, and if you listen to this podcast and people listening now know where I'm going, we ask this to all of our guests, and I love asking this question. I really do, because every answer is a little different. What is God teaching you today, now that you're back in the majors and in the minors and kind of living this crazy life as a baseball player, a pro baseball player? with the Tampa Bay Rays. You're a husband, a dad. What is God teaching you right now in your life? What are you learning from the Lord?
I think he's really trying to teach not only me, but, my wife too, patience. Patience in timing, patience in the Lord's timing, patience with our daughter, patience with each other and through this stressful time. A lot of times we want it now, especially in today's time, whether it be information, whether it be, status, we want it now. And so I think right now what I'm really kind of struggling with and what I think he's trying to help us work through is being patient in just everything, really kind of seeking his timing and knowing that when the time is appropriate and when we are spiritually, physically, mentally ready, that, that he is going to come through. And so I think that's really kind of what I've been focused on. And I think that's what he's really trying to teach us at this point, is just being patient and trusting that, he's got a plan for all of this. And, we'll look back 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now and go, makes sense now, and so, I think that's really kind of where we're at.
Casey, thanks so much, man. Thanks for being here on the show. We'll be watching the rest of this season and seeing where the Lord takes you, whether it's up with Tampa or back in AAA with Durham or who knows, somewhere else. That's the world of sports, I guess. You just don't know exactly what the future holds, but you know who holds your future. Thanks for being here on the show, and let's talk again soon.
For sure. Thanks for having me. I enjoyed it, and appreciate it.
And many thanks to Casey Sadler, professional baseball player, we'll just call him that for now, for joining us here on Sports Spectrum's podcast. What a journey, what a crazy story, and it's still continuing. Here we are, it's in July. Casey is currently with Oklahoma City, the Los Angeles Dodgers AAA affiliate, after being traded after we taped this podcast to the Dodgers from the Tampa Bay Rays after having a pretty successful Major League Baseball season in Tampa with an ERA under 2. But he's now a member of the Dodgers, and we'll see if he can make it to the Major League level with the LA Dodgers. And who knows, could be traded again. It's just crazy, the whirlwind life that many professional athletes live day to day, not even knowing where they might end up. And so that's the life that Casey Sadler lives right now. And we're grateful to have him here on the podcast and hear his story and hear his journey. We thank Casey. We also thank Compassion International. For more information about how you can release a child from poverty, go to compassion.com/sportspectrum. We love what Compassion International is all about, releasing children from poverty. They've been a great partner with us. We encourage you. We want to recommend you check out the website, pray about it, and consider sponsoring a child with Compassion International. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time with a brand new episode of Sports Spectrum's podcast. Check out our website, sportspectrum.com. You'll love the content there, sportspectrum.com. See you next time. Have a great rest of your day.